Hey, what's up guys? I'm Tony G and you're watching 1526 Barbecue. On today's episode, we're gonna figure out which pellet brand is the best pellets to use in your pellet smoker. Check it out. Now obviously there's no way for me to know which pellets you're using today, but at the end of this video, we're gonna find out which pellets are the best out of these competitors. We got Kingsford's Hickory, Pit Boss, Lumberjack, Weber's Smokefire, Bear Mountain, and last but not least, Traeger. So if you noticed, we made sure to get all hickory flavors, so that way there's no difference in the type of smoke we're using. And what we're gonna do today is smoke 6 different bone-in pork chops, obviously changing out the pellets between each pork chop, and testing them to see which one have the best flavor. All right, so this is how it's gonna work. At the beginning of every test, we're gonna go ahead and empty out the hopper completely, prime the auger so that it's completely empty, load up with the new pellets, prime the auger again, and start up the grill. We're gonna be smoking at 225 until we hit an internal temp of 145 degrees. Then, when all of our pork chops are cooked, we're gonna do a blind taste test to see which one I like the best. All right, let's get into it. All right, here are the stars of the show. So we have our 6 bone-in pork chops. To keep this true to the smoke and not the seasoning, I'm only gonna be adding some fresh salt and pepper. And of course, we're gonna season both sides. All right, so here's the update. I think cooking them at 225 was probably a mistake. Each pork chop is taking over an hour to cook, so this is gonna take probably all day to cook my 6 pork chops. Now while we wait, I figure we might as well take a look at our pellets, maybe smell them, maybe try getting them wet, and just testing them in different ways to see if we can pick a winner before we actually taste anything. Let's take a look. All right, so here they are, and in order we have Pit Boss, Traeger, Lumberjack, Weber, Kingsford, and Bear. Now from this angle it may be hard for you to tell, but I'm noticing some big differences already. So let me get them up a little closer to you. Here are the Pit Boss pellets. They are a little lighter in color and pretty uniform. Now the Traeger pellets start to get a little darker. You see a little bit of dark spotting within the pellets. We'll talk about that in a second, or at least what I think it is. Now the Lumberjack pellets are getting very dark in color, and they have lots of dark spots or lots of variation in their color. The Weber pellets look a lot like the Lumberjack pellets. The Kingsford brand looks like the darkest and has the most variation. And then the Bear Mountain brand kind of gets back to being a lighter color. Now I think this color might be indicative of the material that's used to actually make the pellets. I believe that the differences in color, so like in this Kingsford pellets that's really dark and has a lot of light and dark spots in it, that's probably showing us where they used actual chunks of wood that have bark and the inner wood, and it's all kind of mixed together. This is just a guess of mine, but that's what I'm thinking. The Pit Boss brand, which is very, very light and doesn't have a lot of variation, I mean it has some, but not a lot, that might be indicative of using like sawdust left over from other industries. I don't know if that's true either, it's just a guess. All right, I'm not sure if you can really see the color differences, so I pulled some out so you can see them here kind of side by side. So there are the Pit Boss pellets, the Traeger pellets, Lumberjack, notice they're getting darker. These are the Weber pellets. Here we have the Kingsford brand pellets and Bear Mountain brand. Alright, so I'm going to take some of these pellets from each brand and kind of break them up and see if I can smell any differences. Okay, so I've smelled all of them. Between Pit Boss Traeger and the Bear Mountain pellets, I'm not really noting a big difference. Maybe the Traeger brand smells a little bit more like what you would think wood would smell like. But I'm still smelling kind of like a, I don't know what it is, plastic smell maybe? I mean, I'm not saying that they're plastic, but that's what I'm smelling. Now the other three brands do have more of a woody smell, and that is the Lumberjack, Weber, and the Kingsford. Now I did note that the Weber brand smelled a little kind of humid. Let me smell it again. Well, that's it for the smelling test. We got three that kind of smell different than the other three. Interestingly enough, the three that I would say smell better or more like wood are also the three darker ones and the ones that have more variation of color in the pellet. The three lighter pellets smell more manufactured or more like plastic. Smell like pellets. So my wife just smelled them all too. You probably saw a little bit of that. She agrees the Traeger brand smells, I think she said like chemicals. I said it smelled like plastic, but plastic is a chemical, right? She also agreed that the Kingsford brand kind of smelled the best in terms of smelling like wood. So, as of right now, I'm going to predict that the Kingsford brand of pellets is going to produce the best smoke flavor. Out of the group of pellets, they're the ones that smell the most like wood, and they also have a really dark color to them with a lot of variation that might be indicative of bark used while making pellets. For now, we'll have to wait and see. These pork chops are going to take a while. Alright, we're going to do a blind taste test of all 6 pork chops, and I'm going to let you know which one has the smokiest flavor. Alright guys, it's actually the next day. I was cooking pork chops last night till like 9:45 p.m. They took forever, but now they're ready, and my wife is setting up a blind taste test for us right now. Alright, so here they are. They're in an order that's random, and my wife has a sheet of paper knowing which is which. I'm going to taste each one and see how smoky they are. Alright, so sample number 1. Alright, the first sample was pretty good, but it's my benchmark, so we'll see what happens on the next sample. Something I did forget to mention is that in between each sample I'm going to have a bite of white bread and some water to help cleanse my palate. Sample number 2. Sample 2 definitely had less flavor, less smoke flavor than sample 1. So far, sample 1's my favorite. Sample 3. I think sample 3 had more flavor, more smoke flavor than sample 2, but definitely not more than number 1. Number 1 has had the most smoke flavor. Sample 4. I think sample 4 was pretty close to sample 1 in terms of smokiness. It definitely had more than 2 and 3. So far my 2 favorites are sample 1 and sample 4. Alright, let's try number 5. It's going to be tough. I probably shouldn't have picked 6 different pellets to try at the same time, but sample 5 had a lot of smoke flavor. Definitely better than 2 and 3. Probably on par with sample 4, but I think sample 1 is still winning. Maybe somewhere between sample 1 and maybe sample 4 is the smokiest. Last but not least, number 6. Okay, so the easy thing to say is that samples 2 and 3 are probably the least smokiest. I still think sample 1 maybe won it in terms of how much smoke flavor it had. But it could be a tie between 1 and 4. So let's figure out which pellet brands I like the best. Okay, so what is brand, the first one you gave me?
Weber.
Weber was number 1. Oh, good. Okay, so the first sample that I tasted was the Weber. What was
2 was Traeger.
Number 2 was Traeger, which I didn't like very much, or it didn't have a lot of smoke. Number 3?
3 was Pit Boss.
Number 3 was the Pit Boss pellet brand, which also didn't have a lot of smoke.
4, Kingsford.
4 was Kingsford. Now I told you that kind of tied, I think, with number 1, so they were both pretty smoky. Number 5?
Lumberjack.
Number 5 was Lumberjack, which I think also I said was kind of on par with number 4.
6 was Bear.
And 6 was Bear Mountain. So now knowing the names of the brands, I will say that the Pit Boss and the Traeger definitely had a less smoke flavor than the rest of them. And then between Lumberjack, Kingsford, and Weber, they were pretty close, and Bear Mountain was probably just behind them. Now we're going to try that again. We're going to try a different random order of pellets and see if I come up with the same results. Alright, so for that round, what I thought was the smokiest was actually Lumberjack brand, followed by Bear Mountain, then Weber, then Kingsford, and then at the bottom of the list, Traeger and Pit Boss.
I think Lumberjack is the smokiest. Followed by Bear Mountain, Weber, Kingsford, and the bottom 2 I picked were Pit Boss and Traeger.
So I'm sorry to say it, but if you're using Pit Boss pellets or Traeger pellets, you're using the wrong ones. Now don't feel bad, I've been using predominantly Pit Boss for the last year. I'm definitely not going to be buying Pit Boss anymore or Traeger. Sorry guys, don't hate. So there you have it. If you're looking for more smoke flavor the next time you run your pellet grill, make sure you avoid Pit Boss and Traeger and look for either Lumberjack, Bear Mountain, Weber, or Kingsford pellets. We'll see you next time.